How would you like to learn how to create an online course in just one day? Well, that's what I'm going to show you in today's video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as I release new videos each and every week. Hey everybody, Dan Henry here, author of the Wall Street Journal bestselling book, Digital Millionaire Secrets, and founder of 𝐃𝐚𝐧 And today I'm going to show you how to record an online course in just one day. In fact, the very first online course that I recorded in a single day in an 8-hour period ended up doing about $8 million in sales before we eventually ended the program. So I'm going to actually tell you the story of that and exactly how I did it. By the way, go ahead and pause the video real quick and leave a comment below. I'd like to know, how long have you spent creating an online course? How long did it take you? Okay, so you may be feeling like, I want to create an online course, but it takes so much time. It takes weeks or months to create this course, film the videos, all this jazz. You know, it's just too much for me. It's too overwhelming. I don't want to begin. I don't want to start. If that's how you feel, well, pay close attention to this story. So years ago, I created an online course on blogging. And this was way before I had ever had any sort of success in this industry. And it was one of the reasons why for years I did not attempt to sell online courses, because that first course was a massive failure. I spent about $10,000 in project costs, as well as I don't even want to say how long, because it was months upon months upon months, and it's just depressing thinking about it. But filming the videos and planning everything out and writing everything, it was absolutely just a massive undertaking. And when I went to sell it, I only sold 12 copies. It was a massive failure, and to be fully transparent, those 12 copies, I had to message people and actually convince them to buy. The whole launch sequence and launching it and the webinars and all that, I didn't sell a single copy. And so I didn't actually attempt to sell an online course again for quite a while. Fast forward several years later, I got into a position where I got a tax bill from the IRS for $250,000. And I was completely just sidelined by that, because I didn't know how I was going to come up with $250,000. I was doing pretty well at the time running a local marketing agency, but I wasn't making that kind of money. And so I began researching how people are making a lot of money at once, because I needed to pay this tax bill. And I didn't have the money to even hire a good tax lawyer. So I came across multiple articles, but one article stood out very clearly to me. It stuck out like a sore thumb, because it literally said how I made $250,000 with an online course. And I thought, that's amazing, right? That's awesome. Like that's exactly what I need to do. So I read this article, and it sort of, just planned out this elaborate long launch and this long process. And I was like, you know what? I think I can give this another shot, and I can do this, but let me try to do it faster. And I began thinking about it and really thinking about it. And I thought about websites like Kickstarter, right? Like, think about Kickstarter for a second. Kickstarter basically gathers donations or pledges for a potential product, a product idea, and if it gets enough, then you make the product. That's what you do. You go on the website and you say, here's this product idea, and you get pledges, and if enough people pledge, then you make the product, and if they don't, then you don't. So I thought about this, and I thought, well, what if I can do this with an online course? And I began thinking about it, and so I made this plan, and the plan was I was going to pre-sell the course. I was going to do all the marketing, I was going to build a little audience, and I was going to say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do this thing, and I'm eventually going to make an online course, but what you're going to do is you're going to pay a fraction of what I'm eventually going to charge for that, and in a couple weeks, you're going to get to come on, and you're going to get to see me film it live and teach it live, and you're going to get to ask questions. And so I promoted it, and I ended up selling, I don't know, maybe like $4,000 or $5,000 worth. Not a lot. But I did sell something. I did make some initial money. And so that told me, hey, this course is something people want. I didn't go into the details of each and every lesson, but I did give a vague idea of what I was going to cover, and people bought it. And so to me, that said, hey, this is going to be worth sitting down and creating. And because I said, hey, I'm going to teach it to you live, and you're going to ask questions, you're going to get to learn it live, and I didn't say, let me sell you this course I haven't created yet, people bought it because I framed it as a benefit. I was like, hey, you're going to get to learn this live, where everybody else is just going to watch recorded videos. So that was a benefit. Plus, they got a discount. So I go ahead and I plan pretty broadly the bullet points and the different modules and the lessons. And I really didn't make a bunch of graphs or screenshots or anything. I really just bullet pointed it out. And I remember this because I remember years ago, Frank Kern released a course that he charged like $7,000 for. And it was just a ugly green background with black bullet points. And he just went through the bullet points and talked over each bullet point. There was no live action. There wasn't even any graphs or illustrations. It was just like this very ugly, good information, but just very ugly presentation. And he sold it for $7,000. He made a ton of money. And I was like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. So I decided I was going to do that. I was going to bullet point everything out. I was going to teach it in one day over the course of like 4 or 5 hours. And I was just going to literally listen to my students, get feedback from them at the end of each section, take notes, and then when I went to record my eventual lessons, I would not only be able to record them and understand in what order I needed to record and how to make the lessons better, but I would get live feedback from my students on what portions of the program were good and what needed a little work. So when I sold it, it would actually be a really good product and not just what I thought was a good product by recording lessons and just throwing it out there. I wanted to get live feedback on the lessons so that I could make it a great product. And so I put up these bullet points and I taught this very ugly presentation to this very small group of people. And it ended up being about an 8-hour session. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. In fact, they loved it so much that they begged me not to refilm it, or if I did refilm it, that I would leave the original. They loved it that much. And so those recordings, actually, those ugly bullet point recordings actually ended up being the main product for months and months and months until I eventually just made the slides a little bit better and re-recorded everything just for me. And plus I added new stuff, I refined it based on the feedback, and I made it better. But while I was doing that, they were happy with the original recordings. And so what I did was I went and launched the course about a month later, still just the bullet point recordings, did a webinar, and made $48,000 my very first webinar. Second webinar I did made 52, made $100,000 in that little 30-day period. And now I'm like, well, now I have the ability to pay off these taxes, But I actually ended up using that money to hire a tax lawyer, and the tax lawyer got that $250,000 down to about $50,000. And so it's just amazing how if you told me, Dan, you can create a course, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars, and all it is ugly bullet point slides, I'd have been like, no. And you can record it in a day. No. But I did it, and it worked. And then I just took the live feedback, and as I was selling and onboarding new clients and new students, all I did was slowly re-record Module 1, Module 2, Module 3, Module 4, taking the notes I made, the student feedback, making it look a little bit nicer, and slowly dripping it in as I got it done. And then when I got it done, everybody loved it, and we went from there. But the thing is, you can create your whole online course in a day, do what I call a beta launch, sell it to an initial small group. Maybe you edit some things out. Like one thing I did was if there was a bad explanation and I reiterated something, when I went back to those original recordings, I just cut the bad explanation out. So I would say like, hey, did you guys understand this? Well, not really. Okay, we'll think about it this way. Blah, 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 blah. And then I would leave that in and edit the bad explanation out, clean it up a little bit, boom, put it into a membership site, launched it, made hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then over time just improved it. But they always had access to that original one, so they always had content. I could bring in new clients, new students, and they always had that original content, but I was slowly updating and improving it over time. So that entire online course was filmed in a day. Sure, I refilmed it slowly over time later, but it did about $8 million. And now I have a very, very sustainable company at GetClients.com years later that we're approaching 20 million. I've got a best-selling book, Wall Street Journal best-selling book that I wrote on the subject of creating online courses and coaching programs. And it all stemmed from that first course that I just did in a day with bullet points. I find that incredible. So if you'd like to learn more about how to create online courses and profit from them, or a coaching program, or a mastermind, or any sort of digital product offer, grab a copy of my book for free. Just pay for shipping. I'll leave a link below. Again, I will give you this book for free. Just pay the postman and I'll cover the cost of the book. I'll send it right out to you. Just tell me where to ship it. I'll leave a link below for that. Also, if you've read the book already and you'd like to learn more about how my company can help you grow your online course or coaching program, I'll leave a link in the description where you can book a call to talk to us about that. But either way, I want you to do one thing before you go, and that's hit the subscribe button. That way you won't miss any future videos as I release them each and every week. Talk to you soon.